If Amanda Anisimova wins Wimbledon, I'll go blonde.
Hello and welcome to the Tennis Podcast live from Wimbledon on day 11 of the championships. An extraordinary day here at SW19, a day of angst, of beauty, of drama, and that is just Matt Roberts' internal monologue. There have been calls for an emergency podcast, even though we're daily. People didn't want to wait the extra few hours. Our Instagram pretty much buckled under the strain of people sending photos of Matt with blonde hair earlier. Thank you, AI, for all of that. Because, of course, Amanda Anisimova is a Wimbledon finalist. She got there by beating the world number one, and she will face Iga Swiatek in Saturday's final. What a time to be alive for Matt Roberts.
It feels as good as I hoped it would feel. You know, these shows where people are always anticipating what we're going to say, where we've had such a big day, and in a way are kind of some of the hardest ones to do. But what a day, what a match. The match of Amanda Anisimova's life. I want to go blonde. I've got my blondies here from Jackie in the crowd over there. Unbelievable.
Yeah, they were playing Blondie.
Yeah,
when
iconic.
We sat down. Yeah, incredible things have been happening up here. And what could possibly improve Matt's day above and beyond Amanda Anisimova reaching a major final and Jackie making him blondies? Well, there's really only one thing, and that's Pamela Howard-Shriver.
Yes!
Hello, here with my mixed doubles partner, Jam Shriver. Yes!
Pam, I know you've hot-footed it from the mixed doubles final, which we'll talk about in detail later, because David, of course, is the ultimate mixed doubles connoisseur. But I'm sure Matt was in your thoughts today.
He sure was. I gave it the capital M, capital A, capital T in our group text. Because I felt like you were a Wimbledon winner today, but there's still one more match to go, Matt. One more match.
There is so much hype about Matt going blonde that we do have a potential plan for celebrating, because reaching a Grand Slam final, Pam, is an achievement in itself that should be celebrated, right?
100%. I'm
Right.
still celebrating 78 US Open.
So we were thinking maybe Matt could frost his tips for the final and then go the full blonde if she wins. Do you co-sign?
Sure. I'll co-sign. Frosted tips. That's you don't want to say that 3 times quickly.
It's all the rage. Jack Draper's done it. Matt Roberts is going to do it.
Dominic Thiem did it. Didn't get the most rave reviews
No,
from you,
it'll be
did
better
he?
when Matt does it.
I was going to say,
Well, you're going to do it for me.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I've been trying to frost some tips for a long time now. Let's talk about the way that she did it. Let's talk about the match. An extraordinary match. Just everything you want from a Grand Slam semi-final. It really did have everything. 2 hours and 36 minutes, 6-4, 4-6, 6-4. I mean, talk about doing it the hard way. David, you commentated on sets 1 and 3. That must have been incredible and exhausting.
Yeah, it was one of the matches of my career to commentate on. Actually, I mean, I was just feeling the drama and the tension all the way through. It actually felt more tense on behalf of Anisimova in the first set, I felt, than in the third set, because in the first set she seemed to be so keyed up. Every time she had a disappointment, and there were several of them, you know, she seemed right on the edge of her nerves, turning around to the box. By the time she got to the third set, I sensed that she'd settled a little bit and she was actually playing even better. But what a match. What a match. A champion fighting for her life out there in Sabalenka, desperate to reach her first Wimbledon final. And Anisimova, who's gone through such a lot in her young career, never been on that stage before, and overcoming the world number one. It was just brilliant, the whole thing.
How unexpected is this for you, Pam?
Well, I think when we were all at the draw and we saw where Anisimova, the 13th seed, fell, we all felt pretty positive about where she was in the draw. Got to the finals at Queens, so she got an early jump on grass court matches. And then I didn't think she'd win today over Sabalenka, but then when you consider how many tight matches Sabalenka's lost in the last 5-7 years, whether it's semis or finals of majors, then it becomes a jump ball. And I'll tell you what, I did a little bit of reflecting on the first semifinal from last year that lasted 10 minutes longer, 2 hours 47, when Paolini beat Vekic, and I was in the coaching box, and I just thought the drama today really matched the semifinals of last year.
I felt the same. I was having flashbacks of, Matt and I were sat in the exact same seats. Obviously, we love Jasmine Paolini, but we had a particular Pamela Shriver interest in Donna Vekic last year, and we wanted it for you, and it was a very tense occasion. Today I had the Matt Roberts backhand energy next to me. Every time I turned around, I felt like, oh my God, everyone's looking at Matt. Waiting for his reactions. The first rule of journalism is don't make the story about you. We've broken all of it. But here we are, terribly invested in Matt going blonde. I said to you, I joined after the first few games of this final, and I said, look, this isn't a prediction for who's going to win this. I'm by no means claiming any Roberts-esque kind of prophetic qualities here, but I said this is the match that Anisimova wants it to be. Like, it's going to come down to execution, but the look and feel of this match is what Anisimova would have wanted.
Absolutely. And look, as much as I believe that this, I did have, going into this, a lot of them more recent meetings where it's been less a hitting contest from the back of the court, and we've seen the developments that Sabalenka's made in her game with her movement, her slice, her angles, all of this stuff I think has developed to the point where she started to turn that head-to-head round against Amanda Anisimova. And yet immediately, as soon as this match started, I was like, oh, but we haven't seen it recently on grass. And actually the grass, I think, turned it back into the kind of contest that Anisimova wants against Sabalenka, where she's able to rush her, she's able to put the ball deep, she's able to use her own ground strokes against Sabalenka. And we saw that so early on. As you said, she's settled, she started playing the sorts of points that she wanted to be playing, and it was a tight first set, very tight. It was also, there was a couple of medical situations in the crowd with people going down in the heat. So, there were these stoppages as well. But I would absolutely highlight a couple of key games in that first set. Amanda Anisimova holding from love 40 down to go up 4-3 was an absolutely pivotal moment. That was after one of the medical situations in the crowd, and then, of course, the final game of the set when Anisimova broke to win it. It was this back and forth game, so many deuces. And what I loved about it, obviously, was that in that first set, the backhand was the star of the match. It was cross-court, down the line, we were getting texts from people who were maybe seeing...
saying,
Amanda,
I get it now.
I get it now. I see Anisimova. It's different. It moves you, that shot. And it was a dream, particularly in that first set today. And it was absolutely pivotal for Amanda Anisimova to win that first set. She's got an amazing record recently, like 28, 29 matches in a row now, where she's won the first set and gone on to win. And yet, Sabalenka's got this amazing record of not losing in straight sets at slams. It's 100 matches now where she hasn't lost in straight sets at a slam. So you knew that even if Anisimova had won that first set, I did always feel like Sabalenka was going to come back at her, and she's a champion. I just thought that this was going to be a fight.
Yeah, okay. So second set, how were you feeling? How was everybody feeling?
Hot. I mean, it was really tough, that first set, with the disruptions, and I thought it was going to keep continuing, but I thought it really teaches you well how to just deal with whatever's in front of you. And I can see the maturity of Anisimova, because a few years ago, even that little bit of interruption, things that she wasn't expected, it would have thrown her off. And you mentioned love 40 holds are gold. It's almost worth 2 games.
Right. And
that was super impressive.
And then the second set, there was an absolutely key moment, which again a lot of people are talking about after this semi-final, where
we're talking about the aggro here.
Yeah. So Anisimova strikes a backhand winner down the line, sort of halfway through this set, and she grunts after it. Once it's left her racket, as it's kind of going down the other end of the court, and Sabalenka looks over at the umpire. I don't know whether she said anything. She certainly looked over. And then the umpire had a word with Anisimova, and it seemed to be that Sabalenka was suggesting, and the umpire was saying, that could have been a hindrance. And we later learned from Sabalenka's press conference that Anisimova had said back to the umpire, but she does it all the time.
Yeah, it was very much bit rich energy, wasn't
Absolutely, yeah, good one.
it? Yeah. All the mat hits.
Grounds will be closing in around 15 minutes.
Join in, Pam.
Please make your way to the exit gates and make sure you take all your belongings with you. We hope you've enjoyed your day here at Wimbledon.
You do it.
And wish you a pleasant and safe journey home.
I can't.
Thank you.
I can't be in sync with Matt on that. He's the best.
Okay, so we were at Bit Rich.
Yeah, bit rich, and honestly, I felt in the moment like it fired Sabalenka up. I really did feel that. I felt like the energy.
And she said that afterwards.
And then she said it afterwards. You know, I felt like the energy of the match changed then. It got a bit spicy, got a bit tense, and it had just been... It had been a tennis match, purely, and Anisimova was coming out on top. It kind of turned into, there was aggro, there was drama. It wasn't like, it didn't spill over, but it was there. There was a tension to it. And Sabalenka used it as fuel and fired herself up and broke in the next game, I think, after that. It was a poor game from Anisimova. She hit 4 errors from 30 love up. But things kind of changed in that moment. And I thought Sabalenka also did a great job of going to the forehand a lot more in that second set. She started avoiding the backhand. She just changed the feel and the pattern of the match and got back into it.
So not to jump ahead, we'll come back to doing the third set in detail, but why did she stop that? Why did she stop the tactic of trying to avoid the backhand?
Honestly, I felt like she did keep going to the forehand, and the forehand got better from Anisimova. I felt like that shot stepped up, and actually in the very latter stages, it was the backhand, pains me to say it, but it was actually the backhand that failed Anisimova on one or two occasions, and it was the forehand that delivered. But again, that's part of what we were talking about the other day in terms of those improvements she's made. Like, the backhand got her in that position, and the forehand finished it off. Like, I really do think she stepped it up, Anisimova, on the forehand, and suddenly it was like she had nowhere to go. Because she knows the backhand's dangerous, the forehand was delivering. I think if there was one thing I would really point to for Sabalenka, it was her return game. And actually we've highlighted it against Raducanu, against Siegmund. She's been missing returns, and I felt like she missed maybe even more today as well.
It was interesting. She singled it out today. She said, my return wasn't good enough, but she said it was worse compared to previous matches. And I was thinking, it's not been great all tournament, Arena. I feel like we should go step by step through this third set. What I want to know is how each of you were feeling about the likelihood of how this third set would pan out at the point that Anisimova lost serve at the start of it, went 2-love down, and was looking tired. I think she ran for a backhand and just looked sluggish, running out wide, and I personally was worried for her at that point.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance that could be a very one-sided set in favour of Sabalenka at that point, because I thought, okay, now we're getting the reality check here. Anisimova's never been in this position. Sabalenka's so used to it and desperate for it. I was talking to Marianne Bartoli in that third set, and there were points when she was saying, well, yes, the experience helps on one level, but she's also got quite a lot of mental scar tissue recently, Sabalenka, of having not got over the line in the biggest matches this year. So it can go one or two ways. What I actually thought happened was that Anisimova, with the deficit, relaxed a little. She stopped looking quite so anxious and around at her coaching team. And I thought, okay, she's starting to hit the ball again here. And when she hits the thing, I mean, it's so sweet a strike. There were a couple of backhands she hit that the only reaction that I as a commentator could have was, whoa! And then you looked at the replay on the TV, and the camera couldn't keep up with the ball. It was out of the shot before it had gone past. And I think that she just gained belief as it was going on. I mean, she ended up having a really one-sided scoreline there. And I think that was mainly, she just started out playing Sabalenka because she loosened up a little.
Well, I saw a couple of those backhands as well. It just looked like a frozen rope. I saw it fail a couple times towards the end. I did have a little text message exchange after the match with somebody in Sabalenka's camp who referred to the match as a tactical mess. So that kind of goes back to how much Sabalenka should have been picking on the forehand side. You know, obviously when Anisimova got tight towards the end to maybe get to her first major final, there's always going to be some messy unforced. I can't think of a person who doesn't make the odd horrible mistake out of nerves. But in the end, I think Sabalenka's really got to do some thinking between now and the US Open, where she'll be trying to defend her title, about her tactics. And I thought Sabalenka looked so stressed in her face every time the camera went in on her. I felt like Anisimova's face told you that she was a little more calm on the inside. And generally, if you look a little calmer on the inside, you come out on top more times than not.
I also would just circle the game at the end of the second set where Anisimova held to serve Sabalenka, to force Sabalenka to serve out the second set. And actually, if you then look at how the third set panned out, the fact that Anisimova was serving first in it ended up being crucial, because it meant that while it was only one break, she had the 2 return games to try and win the match, and she needed it, you know, because at 5-2 she's returning trying to win the match and Sabalenka holds. She then serves for it, gets broken, but it's not level then in the score. Anisimova's still ahead, and she's still ahead because of that game that she won at the back end of the second set, fighting through, showing great resilience. And I always feel it's kind of easier when you've got a great return game like Anisimova has. It's maybe easier to win it when you're returning rather than trying to serve it out. It just feels like the pressure's a little bit less, and she did a great job and went up love 40 in that final game of the match. And even though Sabalenka saved the first 2, the second one in particular was an absolutely extraordinary exchange, with Anisimova kind of defending for her life, but just Sabalenka having a bit too much. She still managed to have an extra match point and finally get it done with the forehand. But I think that the way the third set panned out, we've got to look at how the second set finished. And it was crucial for Anisimova to hold there. And I think past versions of her, without the resilience that she's shown in this past year, might even sort of just throw that second set. It's going against her. The mindset would have been a bit worse. But she's so resilient now. She's so locked into all the little mini battles in a match. And okay, she ended up winning that mini battle, and it could have helped her win the big one in the end.
Resilience is the word that, I mean, kept coming back to us all, I think, throughout that third set.
And I think Anisimova's shown resilience on and off the court for a couple of years now. And once you learn that skill to bounce back, you can take it then within a match. Something you said about, and I think we need to highlight this, is Anisimova's ability to play defense so much better than she ever has. I mean, I was looking at her footwork a couple of times and how she gets into position to have the right spacing so she can absolutely crush that backhand.
You just got to
Spacing.
Yeah, there we go. But that's what you do. You have to improve all these little things a bit, right? And the forehand's better, her serve is better, but the footwork and the mindset, the feet and the head, when they improve, wow, you can find yourself in a Wimbledon final.
And she had her best serving day of the tournament today. Like, she's in the Wimbledon semi-finals, and yet you said in the preview of this match she needs to serve better. She actually has got here without serving particularly well, and she did.
Yeah, and like, it was amazing to me through the early stages of this match when she was holding, I was kind of thinking she was under more pressure against Zarazua than against Sabalenka in on serve in the early stages. And yeah, she absolutely stepped it up. And look, I do think it goes a little bit hand in hand with Sabalenka having problems on return. You know, I think there was definitely a world today where Sabalenka returns better and puts more pressure on the Anisimova serve. But absolutely, it's something that Anisimova could control, was her serve, and she did it really well.
These were pre-match statistics that I heard on the BBC today, just at the very start of the match. They said that Amanda Anisimova has the highest second serve return speed of all the semi-finalists, men's and women's.
Wow.
And the highest average backhand speed of all the semi-finalists, tied with Yannick Sinner.
I mean, it checks out, doesn't it? It checks out with the eye test. You know, when I'm watching that backhand, I know it's not news, I know we've gone on about it ad nauseum, but even now, I'll still watch it and think, I can't think of another shot in the sport quite like that. That is as
Pam?
perfect as that.
Yeah, the technique is tremendous, and her footwork going in, there's everything, and the way she turns the shoulder, and then that power through it. I think there were a couple of backhands today that were in the mid-80s, which, the forehand's usually the shot a lot of times you get in the 90s, but what she can do and the precision and the fact that she likes both cross-court and down the line, so you're really frozen. It's hard to pick which way to go. And then, one of the great shots was a drop shot late too, so she was able to bring in some touch.
And there were a few little bits of touch and slice.
Yeah, and like chip returns,
absolutely.
block returns. Yeah, really, really good today.
Most of them were kind of reactive shots rather than proactive decisions to use slice or underspin or whatever. But even so, she had it there when she needed it, which I'm not sure I realised she had all that in her locker. Maybe she didn't either.
Well, I think people have looked to Sabalenka, actually, in the last couple of years, being a power player who's brought in good use of the drop shot and some little chips, finesse. People learn, whether it's on the men's side, they learn from Alcaraz and the way he's been playing the forehand drop shot, and I think it hurt Sabalenka that Anisimova has seen the addition to some touch.
There was actually an incredible summary from Sabalenka right at the end of her press conference. It was a fantastic press conference. She was gutted. She was furious. She had clearly just been crying, but she brought humour to it and self-awareness to it, and in ways, in fact, that made me quite sad, because it indicated how much the reaction to her French Open press conference is still very much on her mind. She walked in with this comedy routine almost. She saw the full room and she said, "Guys, I know what you're all here for, but this isn't going to be a press conference like Roland Garros." And she said something similar on the way out as well.
And she stuck her tongue out at us.
She said,
"See, you didn't get me."
Yeah, it was a fantastic press conference, but at the end of it, she said she was kind of pushed again on what the difference was, and she said she was more brave than me, and she wasn't she?
And she said that's what she needs to change going forwards. If ever she's in a big match like this, next time she doesn't want it decided by her opponent's racket. Is that fair? Is she being too hard on herself there? Do you think she's reading that correctly?
Well, I think Sabalenka feels that she has more power than anybody else in women's tennis, so she was kind of matched a little bit today. Their power is different. Sabalenka hits with more RPMs, a little more spin, where Anisimova's flatter, but I actually felt that Sabalenka was experiencing, which so many players the last couple of years have experienced when they play against Sabalenka, which is time is taken away. And they hadn't played, right? Or wait, no, they hadn't played in a while. Remind me.
They played at the French.
Yeah, they played at the French, but they hadn't.
When was the last time they
played
played
on
on
grass,
grass?
yeah.
Never.
Okay, so it is totally different when you haven't played. Something like Anisimova hits it hard and flat on a grass court. It's as if you haven't played them.
And she said exactly that in press. She was like, she said, I know what I need to do to beat her, and I thought that would be not easy for me to do today, but I felt pretty confident about being able to do that. I just had underestimated how difficult and different it would be on a grass court. So Sabalenka agrees with you.
There was one other bit of aggro as well, where there was a lucky net cord for Anisimova, and she celebrated it. She put her fist in the air. They did a slow motion replay. She put her fist in the air, and Sabalenka's looking at her, and then she said to her, "So you're not going to say sorry?"
Come on, you can't be serious. You don't say sorry on a net cord. You're trying to get the finals at Wimbledon.
Yeah,
But I like that there was some aggro. I must say, I have to full disclosure. I did have an assignment for ESPN, which is to find out what was going on with Djokovic's practice schedule. So I did miss a bit of this aggro walking over to Arangi and back. So.
But do you have a scoop for us later on Djokovic's?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Ooh.
Pam.
Not a great
Wow.
one.
We'll take anything.
Stick around for the mediocre reveal later. A few more things. I mean, I want to stay on this match, obviously, as long as possible. We all went to Anisimova's press conference, didn't we? I mean, talk about taking it all in your stride. Like, I know that's just her manner, but she was just as she always is, right? I get the impression the next couple of days for her are going to be as the past couple of weeks have been. She's not going to do anything different. She's just going to totally be herself, hang out with her family a little bit, try and not think about being in the Wimbledon final as much as possible.
Good luck. If she can do that, God bless her.
Yeah, when she said, you know, Iga's obviously been in a lot of Grand Slam finals before. I haven't, but I've been in a lot of big matches. I did kind of think you might be underestimating what I always talk about before a Grand Slam final, which is the quiet and the stillness in the air. And suddenly it's like, this is it. And I don't know how you prepare for that when you've not been through it before and you're against someone who has got a great record in those major finals. But, you know, I do think the point you make about just trying to sort of live her normal Wimbledon experience in these next couple of days, I think she's going to try to do that. I think it's maybe quite helpful that, you know, we joke about her little nephew Jackson having his birthday, but she's already posted some Instagram content of like,
he is adorable,
of like
isn't he?
The whole family together, and it's kind of like, you know, for Jackson, it's his day, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
Amanda Anisimova's day. And I think, you know, she can maybe try and sort of feed off some of that energy as well, and just try and live as normal an experience as possible over the next 48 hours. But it is gonna be tough with that experience gap that she's got to Swiatek in Slam finals.
Pam, you've been in a Grand Slam final. I mean, you've been in lots, but one Grand Slam singles final. Do you think it's naive to think that you can approach it like it's just any other match?
Well, I think you can try, and I think staying in your routine, but I this is where your team comes in, because the team can kind of help you, guide you towards it, and, you know, make some really smart decisions about practice tomorrow and about saying no to requests. Make sure tomorrow, the day off between the...
Hey, do you want to come and see someone get their hair dyed?
I'll be back in LA, sadly.
No, I mean Amanda.
Oh!
I mean, you can come too.
All right.
Imagine that, Amanda Anisimova turned up for Matt's hair dye. That'd be good.
That would be great. You all taught me about getting good content. That would be good content.
She has got good... Well, from what I can tell, she does have good people around her, right?
Yes. From everything I've understood, and just the fact that, as you mentioned, Jackson, and, you know, we just got to do a quick shout out to someone who's 76 years older, same birthday, Virginia Wade, and also one of the mixed doubles players who won Dad's birthday. So Jackson's got a lot of company. But I do think having kids around, first off, it's good it's not her kid. Although we could, I mean, there are moms that do well, but I do think when it's nice to be able to hand it back over to your sibling. Like, here's Jackson. I got to go focus on my sleep. And
that is my experience of being an aunt as well.
there you go.
Yeah.
Born on the
I've
4th
got to
of
go
July.
focus on my sleep. Yeah.
I listen, Pam's the one who's faced this experience of trying to prepare for a Grand Slam final, but I do sense with Amanda Anisimova, here's somebody who's lived quite a lot of life for somebody of her years. You know, she's had to go through losing her father. She had 8 months off because of burnout, and describing the tour as unbearable for her. This is only a couple of years ago, and in that time that she spent away from it, she kind of got other interests, and she lived a more normal life. And when I heard her describe on Tennis Channel a couple of days ago that the arrival of Jackson and her sister was very spontaneous, it was last minute, they just decided to fly over, and here they were. And I looked up from my commentary box position where you can see into the player box, and I mean, all I could see were kids. There were half a dozen kids, not just Jackson,
It was
loads
like a
of
crash
others.
in there.
You know, I mean,
Jackson came and went a bit.
yeah.
Kids don't care, right? Kids,
Bobbing up and
kids
down.
could care. I mean, Jackson at 4, talk about keeping things normal. There's nothing Jackson's not going to be in awe that his aunt is in the Wimbledon final on Saturday. So I give Jackson a little bit of credit.
It does strike me as a very healthy setup for the next couple of days.
Do you know they've sold out of jams?
Well, I'm glad I got my one early.
Right. Jackson potentially deprived, though.
Well, he's not getting this one.
How much longer can we talk about this? I just wanted to, I don't want to dwell too much on this, but just going back to Sabalenka and the hangover from the French Open and the backlash in the final, I do still wonder if that was holding her back a little bit in the match today, because the frequency with which she brings it up, she said, I mean, I think she's handling it brilliantly in terms of when she faces the press, you know, with humour and this self-effacement and self-awareness and really owning it. I'm so impressed with how she's handling it, but it also reveals how much it is on her mind and in her consciousness. She said, I just don't want to face that hate again. It was quite a sad line, really.
You guys know my first two things that I did once I landed, media-wise, was come to the live show the night I arrived. And then I did that, the club asked me if I would do the interview of Sabalenka and Coco Gauff when they practiced on center court.
Yes.
And it was obvious they wanted to have some of that interview reference what had happened. And it became bigger than Sabalenka preparing for Wimbledon, what had happened in the past. So I do think between now and the U.S. Open, Sabalenka needs to lean into what so many have, whether it's Madison Keys, whether it's Anisimova, just get a little bit of mental health help to kind of like put it in its right perspective, learn from it and move on, and kind of control the narrative more going into the U.S. Open than she was able to do here because it was only a month later.
Do you think the US crowds will be okay with her?
I do think they will be. New York crowd can be rough, but I think they can also be quite understanding of saying things that you later regret. I mean, New Yorkers say it every day. So I don't think there's going to be a bad reaction to the defending champion Sabalenka at this year's U.S. Open.
Good. I hope not.
I hope. I mean, I hope not, but I think not.
Okay.
And we're kind of in this weird place now, aren't we, where Sabalenka has been the dominant player on the tour this year, and you know she's going to have a pretty big points lead. She's not won a slam, and you know she's lost these big matches to these three Americans, Keys, Goff, and now Anisimova, and yet, you know, maybe to kind of segue into the next one, we've got like Iga Swiatek, who a lot of people, and us included, have been talking about her having this kind of really rough year, and yet she might be the one that ends up getting the slam on Saturday. It's kind of a fascinating situation that we're in now on the women's side.
Yeah, and I tried to sort of get to that with Sabalenka in the press conference, but I think probably it was a question that needed to wait until after the US Open if she were not to lose that. I basically said, you know, obviously this has been an incredible year. You're the best player in the world, but you haven't won a slam. And I get the impression that for her, a season without winning a slam is a failure or at the very least a disappointment. Now, obviously she has one more chance, and I suspect she would fully back herself to win the US Open. But I do just wonder really deep down how she views this season so far with those three pretty tough Grand Slam losses. She started talking about how it was very Rafael Nadal. She talked about the race and how she'd qualified for the WTA finals already, which obviously is incredible. She is clearly the world number one.
But she's not going to be satisfied.
No.
If she doesn't win the US Open, she's going to be really frustrated. And I do wonder whether that might become a bit of a barrier for her to get over now.
Puts a lot of pressure on New York, doesn't it?
Every time she's in one of these matches, the most recent history is not of her holding the trophy.
And she has a past pattern of having trouble getting over barriers. So she's got a lot of work to do. I think it seems like, I would say more emotionally and mentally, But I do think she needs to look at how she's playing these big matches tactically. I mean, you can't hear that from the team. They've got to be kind of looking at some thought. Go back and study the films deep in the final set against Keys. To me, she gets so stressed looking that I'm wondering if she's able to think properly about what's coming up next. I just feel like it gets cloudy late in these matches and she's not making her best decisions.
Could there also be an element of, with big hitters and dominant power players like Aryna Sabalenka, is it too easy to think, well, if I just play my game, it's the tennis player trope, isn't it? I'm not going to think about the opponent, I'm just going to play my game. And presumably that's true to the nth degree with somebody like Aryna Sabalenka. She will think, if I play my game and execute, tactics don't matter, because I can hit them off the court. Is that more of a trap for her than for different types of players?
Perhaps, because I think she felt like her power could just take her to wins all the time. But then you think what she's done, we talked about it earlier, adding certain shots. So this becomes more decisions that she has to make, how she's going to play. When is she going to play the drop shot? When is she going to try a slice? When is she going to maybe move to the net? So her learning to make smart decisions late in these huge matches can improve. I saw it improve with Navratilova. She was a player that really struggled dealing with pressure late in big matches until she won here for the first time in 78, and then she went on to win 18 total singles majors. I'm not saying Sabalenka is going to do that, but I see certain similarities in their physical nature, their power, and their emotions can sometimes get the better of them.
I was just going to say, obviously Sabalenka's, she's got a history of not winning a lot of big matches. Her conversion rate isn't great, but actually she's maybe been a little bit unlucky in terms of like the players she's met in those matches this year. I'm thinking like there aren't that many ball strikers like Keys and like Anisimova who do have that smooth power that can even rush her, and there's no one that defends like Coco Gauff. Now obviously like these players are in the draw and she could run into them, but it does feel like a little like it's been just one after the other of these sorts of players that can really trouble Sabalenka, but if she's going to win the major title, she's going to probably have to learn to deal with those players. But I think it has been interesting how like the specific matchup seems to have actually sort of favoured some of those players against Sabalenka.
Just finally on this one and on Amanda Anisimova before we move on to talk about Iga Swiatek, today's win for Anisimova and the fact that now makes it four different American women in the last four major finals made me think about the incredible points you made, Pam, when you appeared on the podcast during the French Open. And obviously you were talking in the context of Amelie Mauresmo being a tremendous disappointment in terms of representing women's tennis and being a taliswoman for women's sport. But you talked about how in the US women's sport has been uplifted and given an equal or close to equal platform. And I just want to maybe, correlation isn't causation, but it doesn't feel totally accidental to me that there's suddenly this crop of incredible depth and women that have fantastic belief and have had inspiration before them that they all talk about. Coco Gauff talks about Serena Williams, doesn't she? And all of them talk about the inspirations that they've had and seen on TV. Yeah,
the lineage of great U.S. women champions in tennis is tremendous, and the impact of Billie Jean King and the movement towards like the dialogue in women's tennis has been since the early 70s. We can be equal. We should strive for equality. We have power. We have agency. And I do think, look, we had some lean times at times, but look at the men. It's been since Roddick in 03 at the Open. So I think it's quite incredible. Pegula must be kicking herself, though, being the one who didn't win it. But when you think about that U.S. Open final, it was actually great quality. And I'm just so entertained by what's going on in women's tennis. Not so much some from a U.S. standpoint, but just by this craziness of we're going to have 9 straight different Wimbledon champions. The fact that Swiatek is seeded 8th, ranked 4th because of her final in Bad Homburg, 2 in the race, could win her first Wimbledon, and then, all these stories are so rich. And then on the men's side, we got great stuff going on as well, but it's the same people time and time again competing. Which one do you like? They complement each other. That's why this sport is distinctive on the world stage, because we bring it together, both genders, and having just come from the mixed final, it's a gift, and other sports are trying to imitate tennis.
Yes, Pam.
Yes, Pam.
Yes, Pam.
Yes, Jam.
I love the way you're caressing Jam.
I know, it's probably, I got it.
It's very lovely. It's like a stress ball.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I forgot I've been having a pen and paper, and I'm missing it right now, but I got Jam.
You don't need it, Pam.
Yes, I do.
Second semi-final, Iga Swiatek against Belinda Bencic. 6-2, 6-love. Not much of a match. It was one of those matches, David, where Iga Swiatek looks like she's on some sort of deadline, like she's in Speed with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. I don't think that's a reference that Matt understands. Do you know? Have you seen that film?
I have actually.
Oh,
Yeah, on holiday with my parents.
do you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Good movie. But you know what I mean. Like if you have to stay on court for more than an hour and 10 minutes or whatever it was, you're going to explode. That's what it felt like. Like poor Belinda Bencic. I think she was physically compromised today. Perhaps overawed by the experience. I think it's really tough that they played yesterday. Like the whole rhythm of the slam suddenly changes. Swiatek's more used to that, of course, having been in this situation more. I really felt for Bencic there, but it was like she was thrown in a tumble dryer, it felt like.
Yeah, I think that's a good description. And the other thing is that they've just come on court after this tumultuous 2.5-hour epic that the crowd have needed a break from because it's so hot out there. And look, I realise that's the same for both players, but it just feels like that stuff doesn't bother Iga Swiatek. She comes out and she plays the ball. And my word, there is no front runner in a match like her. The last few years, in fact, I don't think since Steffi Graf I've seen a player hit the front in a match and just keep going and make matches kind of, well, I don't want to say boring because she lights them up, but she makes them irrelevant as a competition. And the moment she gets into that mode, I'm not quite sure how you reel her back in. And her distribution looks good, her footwork looks right, she feels like she's got her margins right. What are you seeing that's different with her, Pam, on grass than previous years?
Well, I think a lot of things have come in to make her play this well on grass this year. I think the fact that she lost before the final at Roland Garros started her mindset turning towards grass. We already mentioned earlier in the pod about all the matches she played in Bad Homburg. So she was able to get here. And I do think the atmosphere of that club outside Hamburg, because I heard it from Donna last year, it's a very relaxed, perfect week if you want to, play matches. But I'm trying to think of a comparison back in the States. Maybe the way Connecticut sometimes in New Haven, like 10 years ago, if you wanted to play matches in a relaxed setting, and then oftentimes they would go on and have really good U.S. Opens. So I think that week was crucial for Sabalenka to have some belief on the grass court. Look, she was a junior champion here, right? But I don't think she'd been able to, with all her success at Roland Garros, I don't think she'd been able to ever really start the grass court season with belief and on the right foot. And I do think Wim Fissette has had good experience with his players on a grass court, and it's not just the player having belief on grass. I know you need to have your coaches know the nuances of grass, and I think Fissette does.
I remember when Iga Swiatek was, at her absolute best a couple of years ago, a lot of players were kind of asked what makes Swiatek so good, and I remember the word that kept coming up was intensity. And I feel like that was what defined this match today, because it was just relentless. Like, she just came out playing great, and Bencic, as you said, was struggling. She had this had this hole cut in her shoe, didn't she, because of this toe injury that she's got. And look, Bencic was absolutely not at her best today, but there was just no let-up from Swiatek. And I think that has happened a bit at times in this year. She's lost some of that. That kind of intensity has maybe been replaced by a bit of stress on court, quite frankly.
She's used that wording, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Lost intensity.
Yeah. And it was there. Like, she was just awesome in this. You know, her serve is, she's cranking it up at 117, 118 miles an hour, which seems pretty big to me for her. A lot of return winners. That word David uses, distribution, I think is a great one. She's spreading the court really, really well. And yeah, I think she's maybe more susceptible on the grass as well when it's early in the tournament, you know, when she's not quite so sure on her footing, when the ball's skidding through a little bit more. Like now she's playing at the back of the court on that very dry patch, and I don't know, it just feels like she's a lot more confident now with her movement as well. And you know, I think of this tournament, I think her most susceptible match was probably McNally in the second round, and you know, that was early in the tournament. But yeah, absolutely. I also think the point actually that Matthew made to me earlier is that freshness and like just mentally, in terms of like she's not won as much during the clay court season, so she's actually like been off sometimes. You know, like if you think of these 2-week events now, she's gone the last couple of years, she's just been on and on, winning and winning and winning, like literally no breaks. Where she's kind of got on the grass now, and yes, she was disappointment after Roland Garros, of course there was, but it also meant that she was, I think, a bit fresher, far less sort of under the spotlight. She was out of it a little bit more. She went to Bad Homburg, she found her form there, and it's all just clicked. And it was the Collins match where I thought she can win Wimbledon. And I didn't know whether it was going to be this Wimbledon. I still don't. But I just really had a realization that Swiatek can play on this surface, and we've seen it in every match since then as well.
It was another one of those quite locked down press conferences from Swiatek. I get it. She's got a final to play in 2 days' time. But there were two very revealing lines. There was one question, I think, from Eleanor Crooks of the Press Association. Have you surprised yourself with this run here and reaching the final? She just said, yes, I've surprised myself. Like, it was just perfect, you know, like no further detail needed, like big time. Yeah. And the final question, actually, I think from Matt Futterman of The Athletic, asking her to kind of pinpoint what she's actually enjoyed about playing with on grass, not just sort of learn to tolerate or learn to deal with, but actually learn to love or enjoy about playing on grass. And she said, there's no time to overthink. You have to play on instinct.
100%. The time's taken away, and I think that is playing right into Swiatek's strength at the moment. Her shots look more compact to me. I think she had time to kind of get her grass court, because listen, if you come in with the same long shots through the whole clay court season, you're not going to do well. And I just look at her now, and it just looks so in sync. And I'm telling you, we've seen other players in the past. Sampras struggled his first few times coming here, believe it or not, and he didn't feel confident. Agassi didn't even come over. There's actually been a lot of players that didn't understand grass. And then once they do, so look out, world. Iga Swiatek can play on grass.
Now, Pam, you're clutching jam there. There was not one mention in today's press conference yet again of strawberry pasta.
Oh.
But
good. Oh.
I'm here to keep strawberry pasta alive.
Oh, wow. I'm hungry. Really?
I have some.
All right.
I have some homemade strawberry pasta.
It's incredible work. Let's
I
pass
have
it down.
Unbelievable.
This is...
Is this for all of us?
This is macaron struskavkami,
Oh, wow.
made by official medic of the tennis podcast, Felicity. I have forks.
Do we have to eat it now?
I think...
Hungry. I'll have it.
I mean, I'm going to have some now. I think it would be a shame if you didn't give it a go, David.
I quite like the look of it, actually.
Can I have it with a blondie chaser?
I mean, yes.
Fork, David?
Should I eat the blondies rather than the pasta?
No, please eat the pasta, Matt. Significant work has gone into this.
This hasn't been in the sun all day, has it?
No, it came in a thermos.
Okay.
lengths were gone to
I'm
make
struggling
sure
to
that
open it one-handed. Anybody?
Hang on.
Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome. Here,
I'm
I'll hold it
genuinely
for a sec.
intrigued. I would like marks out of 10. I would like.
I can give you a percentage.
I would like yes, please.
I think
on,
it's
David.
horrible.
It's okay.
I really don't like cold pasta.
Have I ruined your best day ever?
I'm not into that.
Yeah, not for me.
That is not nice.
It's a
I mean, I'm not judging it from a sort of,
Yeah, I don't want to yuck anyone's yum.
you know,
but-
if you like it, good luck to you.
do you like it,
But,
Pam?
oh,
Did you say Pam or Jam?
Pam's cracking on.
Scoffing it.
I'm starving.
Do you want some more?
give Pam a blondie.
Okay, can I have a percentage? Can I have marks out of 10?
6.5.
Oh,
6.5 says Pam. I mean 3. Sorry, but that I'm not into that.
Yeah, like 2.
So-
If I was desperate, I'd have it, but I'm gonna have a blondie.
I quite like the pasta, the plain pasta. It's when the strawberry gets involved. Like,
You know,
Yeah.
I've done more cooking this Wimbledon than I have ever. And I like combining things. And I can see why Iga likes it.
I think Pam has a more sophisticated palate than us, probably.
Okay.
Great work, Catherine. Great work, Felicity.
Yes, thank you, Felicity, for bringing that into
For
our
yucking
lives.
everyone's yum. Who's going to win the final?
Well, I have to do a reset. And I have to kind of look at a few things. The unpredictability of recent champions kind of points to Anisimova. But when you go on paper and you look at somebody who's been perfect in major finals so far, it's hard to look away from Swiatek. So I think I would have to, if I had to bet, I'd go with Iga. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if we had another stunner, the 13th seed, lucky number 13.
And look, I know everyone's digging out this
Juniors.
footage of them playing in the Junior Billie Jean King Cup final, and that's super fun, but they haven't played on tour.
It's crazy.
And that is a fascinating element to this final, isn't it?
Matt, when was the last time that happened?
He's
Oh,
working,
even
Pam.
Matt doesn't
he's
know.
working
I'm
on
working on it.
Okay.
Saturday's.
Well, I don't think
Saturday's
Fernandez
stand.
and Raducanu had played. I could be wrong, but like it's
Good one.
it's
They're
like
so young,
it's
aren't
like
they?
two really like top players to have not
That are
met.
the same
feels
age and have been around for like
Yeah.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But, you know, Anisimova had time off. They come from different regions. Their favorite surface is different.
Yeah.
So by the time you deal with everything, it can happen. It's like the luck of the draw.
Do you remember at our live show in London a couple of weeks ago? I actually like an hour before the show started realised I'd made an absolute mess of my first slide.
I do
which
remember
was-
that.
Which
yeah.
is a gag to do with recent Wimbledon champions beating Veronika Kudermetova. I thought it was in the first round, but it turns out Krejcikova actually beat her, I think, in the... or I think maybe Vondrousova beat her in the second round and Krejcikova beat her in the first round. So suddenly it was like, oh God, the slide's wrong. I'm going to have to come up with something else. Well, there's this weird thing that Iga Swiatek beat Polina Kudermetova in the first round. So actually it kind of has...
You're trying to rescue
I'm
that
trying to
moment
rescue that bit that was really,
retrospectively.
really bad. I think it's interesting that Swiatek has played some big hitters here. You know, like she played Collins, she played Towson, she played Samsonova. You know, like she's been tested against that kind of game style. I just don't think any of them do it as well as Anisimova. I think Swiatek.
You're in a tough spot here,
look,
Matt.
final Swiatek as well. You know, like so often in major finals, she's played really, really well. She's had one tight one, right, against Mukova, but otherwise she's been pretty dominant in her major finals. And the way she played today, you've got to think she'll be able to get Anisimova moving and out of her strike zone. But kind of logic was telling me that Sabalenka would beat Keys in Australia as well. And sometimes a player's just on a roll, and there's just a bit of magic in the air, and
Bit
Yeah.
of blonde magic.
I think, look, Anisimova has to try and take big advantage of the Swiatek serve. You know, I think Swiatek has served well this tournament, but that second serve I still think's a little bit vulnerable. And if Anisimova can get in the rallies, get in the points that way, then she needs to kind of render Swiatek's ability to move her redundant, really, by just taking charge. I think it's helpful for Anisimova that, like, there's going to be a clear game plan and strategy, I think, and if she can execute it, she's got a shot.
I think Anisimova's team needs to remind how long it's been since she's won a tournament.
Yeah.
And how many times Swiatek in the 13 months has looked like the best player going into, say, semis and finals. And something's happened. Today, obviously, Bencic was compromised. And I'm not sure we can really tell, given how far Bencic's quality dropped from yesterday, the way she won in 6-6. So I just think you hang in there, you battle away, you hit your shots, and then just remember, she hasn't won a tournament in 13 months. Is her first win going to be Wimbledon? Could be. It's one match away, but it's something to just keep in mind.
Okay, we're going to have a quick look ahead to tomorrow and the men's singles semi-finals. But first, Pam eats a blondie.
Yeah.
Pam, we need your takes on the mixed doubles final.
I'll do that. I'm not going away. I'm just having a piece of blondie.
Well, David, our mixed doubles connoisseur.
Yes.
You can give your takes on the mixed doubles final first
Sure.
while Pam eats a blondie.
Yeah, no problem at all. Well,
Sam Verbeek and
Yeah.
Katerina Siniakova beating Joe Salisbury and Luisa Stefani 7-6, 7-6, 2 tie-break sets, proving that Katerina Siniakova and anyone is the best team in the world.
I mean, I'm wondering whether that is the truth now, because I mean they're a new pairing. They are not experienced as a pairing, and yet they just looked fantastic. I mean, you know how much I love watching Stefani, and I thought that she and Salisbury were going to get the job done. And it was, first set was a tie break, really, really close. Second set, Bacon Siniakova went ahead by a break and actually looked like they were just going to roll through that second set, and it was a break back. It became a really close encounter in the second set as well. Just a really good contest in an absolutely full stadium. It was just brilliant to see that there was an atmosphere, and that, you know, Wimbledon does come out for the mixed doubles. I think they got the timing of this one right as well, to put it after the two singles matches. I prefer that, to be honest, than sticking it before. Sometimes it's going to be quite interesting to see how the doubles over the next couple of days, over the final weekend, goes. I would imagine it will do pretty well, but I really enjoyed that personally as an occasion and a crowd turnout. And I mean, the quality looked good to me, Pam, but you'd know better than me.
I was thoroughly entertained. I called the match back to the States with Jason Goodall, and I'll tell you where they played their best tennis. All of them was in the first set tiebreak. There was 3 of the last 4 points of that tiebreak. It was just your typical doubles, quick hands, little cat and mouse, like long exchanges. The lefty, Verbeek, who I'd never seen before play, he's kind of new on the scene. He had this charismatic, infectious energy. A couple of times Siniakova, even though Siniakova, is the best in the world, she gets a little down, and she got a little down when she dropped serve in the second set, and it was her big lefty Dutch partner playing with her for the first time, kind of lifted her back up, her spirits, and it was a great match. We were kind of happy it was in straight sets, though. 6-6 was fine. There's no match tiebreak at Wimbledon. We would have just been starting the pod.
Will they get a US Open mixed doubles wild
No.
card?
No, they're not. I don't think so. I think it's only last year's winner, I think, is going to get one.
You don't think Siniakova, even if Siniakova kind of picked...
Guest.
I mean, that's ridiculous. I'm sorry. If you win Wimbledon and you don't get an invitation when they've got literally the half of the field as wild cards, I mean, again, I'm looking forward to this event because it's going to be fun and loads and loads of big names. But if you don't have the Wimbledon champions in it...
Yeah, but what if Siniakova would rather be playing singles the week before in the lead-up tournament? I don't know. I guess with the money, you're right. She's going to want a wild card, but they got to draw the line, 16 teams. I think it's going to be kind of fascinating. People are upset. I get it. It's worth a try. At the Open, they didn't have the slot. They haven't thought of this kind of thing with the night sessions. They really don't have the time for the mixed doubles to stand out at all the way it can here.
Are you okay with it being on the honour roll and them getting the same trophy that everyone came before them had? I think that's where, I don't want to put words in your mouth, David, but I think that's where
Fast
you have
four.
not that this isn't going to be fun and engaging.
I
and,
can't wait for it, but that's a
Right.
joke. That is a joke for it to be on the same honour
but-
roll
well,
and to not even have the Wimbledon champions in it.
as someone whose name is on honour rolls, are you okay with that?
Whoever wins that ton of prize money on TV, national TV, yes, it can go up on the honor board, because you know what? You could see Alcaraz. Who's Alcaraz playing with? Help
Emma
me.
Come
on,
right,
Pam. Come
Emma
on,
Navarro.
Pam.
Emma Navarro, right?
No.
Playing with Yannick Sinner.
Yannick Sinner.
Raducanu.
Oh, that's right. I got the Emmas confused. and the Emmas have a couple of good partners. But can you imagine, like, go back at the last 25 years and see the names up on that honor board? And what would be wrong with having Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic?
That'd be great if they went and beat the Wimbledon champions along the way. That'd be great.
It's
They're
the
not even allowed
format.
in-
It's,
Give it a
it's,
try.
It's not even allowed in it.
Yeah.
it's the format that I have a big problem with. Like, I know they've already shortened like the mixed doubles format. You know, it's not the same as it used to be many years ago. So, like, where do you draw the line? Personally, I draw the line at
Fast forward.
sets have got to be to
Yeah.
6. You know,
But then
for me.
the names wouldn't play if it wasn't a shorter format. It's
It's a conundrum.
it's
It
a
That's
is.
my
conundrum.
best word I've ever used in all my years on the podcast. It's a conundrum.
Pam, we need more words from you because we need your mediocre scoop on Novak Djokovic's practice for our preview of tomorrow's men's semi-finals.
Well, I think everybody, kind of the word traveled. He had originally booked 1 to 3 with 2 Wimbledon practice partners that they hire, you know, like men who play futures, or probably mostly futures level. So he was going to practice with 2 of them. Then he pushed the practice back 3 to 4:30. But then the practice partners, because I walked over there and got the scoop, they were notified on their group text that the practice partners were not needed anymore. They were now he could have still gone out with one of them on his team, or one of his many coaches, feed some balls, but it was a natural day off, right? He hurt himself. He needs to get treated. It's stinking hot today. Like Donna took a day off last year before semi. Why can't Novak Djokovic? I mean, to me, it was always on the cards that he probably wouldn't practice. But everyone was trying to find him, but nobody saw him around here unless you all heard something.
He loves a bit of drama,
Yes.
doesn't he? Just to keep us all guessing.
But I think Pam's right. My guess is, I mean, he is dialing it back in a lot now, isn't he? And how much he plays. I even remember the latter days of Ivan Lendl's career that the commentators would say that Lendl doesn't need to do training blocks anymore. He just needs to top his fitness up, you know. And I think Djokovic is in this stage where he'd rather be fresh. He'd rather be, you know, up for it the next day. And that day off, that's really interesting about Donna having that day off, I think, before her big match. And yeah, I mean, look, I'm hopeful that that's what it is, and that it's not, oh dear, that the injury, that the fall caused an injury, which of course is a possibility.
First up, centre court at 1:30 is Taylor Fritz against Carlos Alcaraz. Second up, Yannick Sinner against Novak Djokovic. What's happening in these matches?
David, you go.
Well, I think it's going to be Carlos Alcaraz against Novak Djokovic in the final.
That's awesome. That would be unbelievable. So that means you think Djokovic is going to be pretty healthy tomorrow.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I'm assuming full
Okay.
health. If he's anything short of full health, he's not beating Yannick Sinner unless Yannick Sinner is way short of full health. But I'm assuming they're both healthy enough to play a good level, and I just think Djokovic might well come out with one more all-timer.
Well, I'm going to talk about the least talked about member of the four, because he's from the United States, Taylor Fritz. I think Taylor did a great job after the clay court season. He was disappointed with Roland Garros. He went back to California. He went to Carson, where the USTAs had their West Coast training camp. That's where both his coaches, Paul Anacone, who lives out there, was able to join in person at the pre-grass court season training block It lasted a few days. That's where the reset started to happen. I talked to Paul. He's become a really good friend because he's kind of been a mentor in this combining the coach and commentating role and how to balance everything. And he gave me some insights. And then once Taylor got over here, of course, talk about someone who's played a ton of grass court matches. Nobody's played more. And he got through that tough first week. What a rough draw. So obviously he's fourth favorite. But at some point, a U.S. man is going to win a major again. I don't think it's going to be here, but this crop, it's going to come from this crop of guys.
So that's Fritz, Tiafoe,
Shelton.
Tommy Paul,
Shelton.
Paul. I think Ben Shelton proved a lot this tournament. He likes big occasions. He's not afraid of...
So you think one of them's winning a slam?
I think either Fritz or Shelton I would bet on, but I think Tommy Paul's getting injured a little bit too much. I think Francis... Emotionally, I'm all in for Francis, but I just feel like Fritz and Shelton are the two most likely. You right there? Did you get a bug?
I got a bug. It's in my ear, no big deal. Do you want to play the percentage game, Pam? Even people that don't want to play are
Fritz,
forced to play.
30%.
There we go.
30-70 against Fritz, and then I want to know I feel like it's really hard to go with the Djokovic thing until we know.
Assuming he's okay from that fall, how do you see it?
45% Djokovic, slight underdog.
David, Matt, anyone?
Well, look, I understand that. I mean, 45 is the logical number, I think, for
That's where I
Djokovic
would go,
against Sinner right now. I just think that Djokovic is going to find something tomorrow, and I think he's going to rock Sinner to his shoelaces, and I think he's going to win.
Percentage for Fritz?
I'd agree with Pam. 30 sounds about right to me.
I'd go a bit lower than that. Maybe
How low?
25.
No, you're
Maybe 20.
Picking over 5%.
Don't you come at me for the percentage game, Pam.
Hey, listen, I
Matthew's loving it.
can think of 124 players on the men's side that would love to have 1% chance tomorrow.
Right.
You're the last four standing. The one I can relate to the most today that played on center court was Belinda Bencic. I lost one of my semis, one of my three semis, 0-2 or 2-0 to Graf. It's a horrible feeling, but we know that with the men's serve and their big game, it's going to be close sets. I can't wait.
Me neither. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, at the end of play to review all of it. We have some shout-outs today and some mascots.
Can't wait. Come on,
These
let's go.
special folk are going to get a Pam Shriver shout-out. Right. Mascot. We have Rory. Are you a Gilmore Girls fan, Pam?
No, but I'm a Rory McIlroy fan.
Okay. I mean, let's assume that Rory is a fan of all Rorys. Rory is named after Rory from the Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
Which I watched for the first time last summer. And I know Mary Carrillo is a huge fan of. I was texting her. I was sort of live texting her while I was watching Gilmore Girls. I know I'm a late adopter, but what a show. So we have Rory and we have Douglas. Douglas is his pedigree name, as befits a Scottish dog. But in truth, he is known to all the world as Dobby. So we have Dobby and we have Rory. They're owned by Hamish Fraser and his wife Christy. And this is a special surprise 50th birthday.
Oh,
how lovely is that? They live
beautiful.
in Sydney, Australia. Both dogs have just turned 5. Rory is a Bordoodle, which is a Border Collie Poodle cross. And that's just like Christy's previous dog, Jasper. She mostly just loves to be loved and can rarely be close enough to you, just like Bo and me, Pam.
I just got that visual.
That's Pam's golden retriever that loves me a lot. She will bark loudly to protect us and the children and enjoys chasing her ball till she drops. Now, Dobby is a Westie, like the dog Hamish had as a child, which is lovely. Thanks to his sister Rory, Dob is a little more active than many Westies, but he still has a fierce independent streak and can be a somewhat grumpy Scotsman like his father. Hamish and Christy are coming to Wimbledon on Ladies' Finals Day.
Wow.
as part of Christie's 50th birthday celebrations and would love to come and say hello. Please do, Hamish and Christie, come up to the roof. This is where we'll be. We'd love to say hello to you. Christie's birthday is in 2 weeks' time, so at the time of writing this. So happy birthday for then. Hamish also said you did a shout out for Paul Owen from Brisbane a month or so ago, and he's an old mate from when I lived up there. I used the shout out as a reason to reconnect with him. Hopefully a beer when he's in Sydney next.
Look at all the people you help connect. It's awesome.
Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, Pam. It connected us to you.
Yeah, without
Yay,
the pod,
Mary.
we
Yay,
wouldn't.
Mary,
We'd
right?
not,
Yeah.
we'd not be sitting with
Via
you right
Mary
now if it
Carrillo.
wasn't for the podcast.
Hello, Mary, if you're listening. We got pictures here of Dobby and Rory, and well, it's a good
Oh,
dog, isn't it?
Goodness. Wow. Beautiful.
Hamish, Christie, please do come and see us. Hello to our mascots. Hello, Phoebe. Hello, Maisie.
Hi,
Hello,
Maisie.
Roger. Hello to our executive producers and top folks, Greg, Chris, and Jeff. Over to Matt for some shout outs while I finish my strawberry pasta. Quite like it.
We have Caroline from South Buckinghamshire.
Oh, do you know where that is, Pam?
It's in the south. Caroline Wozniacki, Caroline Stoll, Caroline.
Garcia.
Dollarhide.
Thank you.
We're flying. Look at this.
It's 4. That's good.
It's enough, isn't it?
Buckinghamshire's not far from here.
Thank you.
And Caroline's been listening since 2016.
Good work, Caroline.
Pre-Matt.
Yep.
Can you imagine a time, Pam? Don't.
Matt
it's
was
too
kind of
dark.
on the scene.
He was around. He
PM.
was earning his stripes.
You got PS and you got PM.
Yeah. Thank you, Caroline.
We've also got Sarah Yiser from Washington, D.C.
Hello, Sarah. Like
Like-
Sarah Rani.
Like Sarah Cerebes Tormo.
Very good.
There's a British player, Sarah.
Goma.
There's another one though.
Borwell.
Always do Goma.
Sarah Fornashari, a tennis player from Washington, D.C., was a tournament director of the first tournament I played in the last, and she plays tennis every single day, so the two Sarahs are neighbors.
Oh. What do we know about Sarah?
Sarah says, I decided to try out to be a ball person for the City Open this year, and I got selected.
Woo!
Highlight of my life so far. Apologies to my wife. Our wedding is a solid second.
Start hydrating now.
Oh yeah, I'm desperate to go to Washington DC, and it feels silly to go not when the tournament's on, but also I think I might die a slow and thirsty death in the heat of Washington.
Well, today felt a little like that.
And I think Anisimova's signed up to play. Although,
Is she?
if she's won Wimbledon, might be a withdrawal coming. Who knows?
Thank you, Sarah.
And finally, we have Gautam Sharma, but this shout out is for his wife, Paula. Gautam is from New Delhi, and Paula is from Malta. And
Wow.
Paula's birthday is on the 11th of July.
Tomorrow.
Which is tomorrow.
Well, actually, it's in an hour and a half.
And I believe Paula likes to listen to the pod in the morning. So she's going to
Oh.
get this shout out on her birthday.
Paula, happy birthday.
Wow. And Paula Smith, really good doubles player back in my era. That's one Paula. Paula
We would
Badosa.
be Paula-less if you weren't here, Pam, I fear.
Thank goodness for you,
Well,
Pam.
Badosa, yeah.
And then
Happy birthday, Paula.
That is such a lovely thing for your husband to do for you.
And Gautam says, your show truly brings her joy. She learns a lot about the world of tennis from it, and I can't wait to see her face when she hear you guys talk about her.
Gautam, that is lovely. Paula, it sounds like you got a good one there. And happy birthday.
And the day after my oldest son turns 21, so happy birthday, George. But that's not a shout out, so we can't.
It's not a shout out because
No.
he doesn't listen, does he,
No,
Pam?
not yet.
Keep working on him.
I will.
Pam, you're heading home tomorrow
Yeah,
to
tomorrow.
celebrate said
Yeah.
birthday. We'll miss you.
Thank you. I'll
We
miss you
will.
all. It's great to start my Wimbledon with a live show, and it
Thanks
was
for
tonight.
coming.
And I look forward to seeing the blonde tips. That'd be something else.
You'll have
Full
to
blonde.
You'll have to keep it for New York so that Pam gets to see it in person.
Deal.
Well, I mean, it'd be full blonde by
Yeah,
then, wouldn't it?
be full blonde, yeah.
yeah.
Be full blonde, won't it?
Come on, let's go, Pam. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute treat to have you, really has. Thank you all for watching and for listening. We'll be back tomorrow after those men's singles semi-finals, not before 7:30.
Sure.
Not before 7:30, but as always, look across our channels. We'll let you know when we're going live. Best thing to do, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can get an alert when we're going live. But basically, as soon as those matches finish, check in. We'll be here going live in this incredible spot talking about tennis. What could be better? Folks, it's been a joy. Enjoy this.
Revealing my hat hair.
enjoy Matt's brown hair for these few more hours, and we will see you and speak to you tomorrow.